Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Who the hell am I?
I'm a construction worker.
After the bathroom, I said, be right back.
I'm a cop, you idiot!
Pasta.
Oh, I'm Detective John Kimball.
Who is your daddy?
Answer the question!
And what does he do?
Put that cookie down! Now!
Hi, welcome to Into the Mr. Universe, the podcast that doesn't have, like, an intro.
Not really.
But
I mean,
no.
What are we going to do, make up an intro for a show we're doing? Nah.
I mean, what?
Well, by the time we figure out the intro, the
We
show
have,
will be
well,
over.
look, there's like a musical intro. Like, there's
word.
like an intro. It's not like the podcast just begins.
Right. It's not like the podcast begins with just the sound of wind whipping across an empty field.
Yeah.
And then our voices come in out of the void.
Exactly. Although that does sound pretty delightful.
Although we do need a podcast that begins exactly like that, yes.
Yeah, welcome to Voidcast. I'm one of your hosts, David Bell.
I'm a second host, Tom Ryman.
This is a podcast where we
It is.
are
Stop
traveling.
No.
We are traveling through the Arnold Schwarzenegger universe, and talking about him as as an artist. It's brought to you by our very own producer Norm from Cheers. Thank you, Norm. That is the Norm from Cheers, obviously.
Yeah, it's George Wendt.
Yeah, no one
Big,
would call themselves that.
Huge
otherwise.
fan of the network is George Wendt.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've been we did a couple so far. We did Hercules in New York. We did Stay Hungry. If you haven't, go back and watch those. Otherwise, you'll be lost, Totally lost without watching the other ones.
That's right.
Yeah, we're plowing through the filmography of Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we are now up to the 1982 film Conan, the Barbarian.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
This is so it's an exploration. We're going to talk about the plot for a bit, and then we'll talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger as a performer and what makes this Arnold different than other Arnolds. We'll talk about best side characters, and it'll all culminate to the most Arnold moment and a rating system where we will rate the film amongst the others, as we've always done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I want to start with the fact that I find this movie incredibly boring.
Sure. No, that's fair. That's fair. This is from like a real antiquated way of doing fantasy, and specifically epic fantasy. It's like they're trying to make it like an old Epic DeMille picture where it's it's just like really, it's a lot of pageantry. There's a droning narrator because they just didn't want Arnold to speak. They were. I mean, after Hercules in New York, people were like, "We are very afraid that nobody will be able to understand him." So they really limit Arnold's lines in this and have the narrator do the bulk of the work. Who I think is Mako. Is that who the narrator is?
I think so.
It's an actor of note.
It's an actor who's playing.
Yeah, he's the old guy. Yeah. I just can't remember who it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of like. It's funny because this is a movie where a man punches a camel. So like
Arnold punches a camel.
Yes.
Like,
and so,
for real.
For real. He punches a camel.
Like, you see his fist connect and, like, the camel kind of stumble.
Yeah. There's a giant snake. There are orgies.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it somehow manages to be a boring movie. It's very long. Or at least it's over 2 hours, right?
It's like 2 hours and 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yeah. The running time says 129 minutes.
There you go.
It was one of those movies where, like, while I'm watching, I'm like skipping ahead in the timeline, like to see, like, okay, how long until we get, like, I was just constantly aware of how long until the credits.
Sure.
And this, I'm trying to nail down what I mean, I think you kind of nailed it down. It's droning. There's a lot of like similar looking sets and adventures. They like infiltrate several places and kind of run away. It kind of deviates when they're like thieves.
Yeah, I mean that's the fun part when he puts together like his band of adventurers and they go on a legit D&D quest.
Oh yeah. On top of that, everybody's very serious.
That's part of the problem too. Like this is a movie. Do we need to preface this at all? This sequentially it comes after the first two films we talked about, Hercules in New York and Stay Hungry. This is 1982. I don't think we mentioned it.
No, we said it was 1982, but we are going in. We are going in chronological order of his career.
This is his Conan is his big gambit to turn Arnold into a star. So
right.
This is, I mean, it's not technically, not even technically, it's not his first role, and it's not even his first starring role in a film.
Right.
It's just they're trying again now that he's got a little bit more, I don't know, credits under his belt. He's done a little bit of TV and he's done Stay Hungry at this point, but still not too much.
And we talked about this. He's great in Stay Hungry.
He really is.
And we'll talk more about his performance in this, but like when you're trying to like push and make an actor work, if you're worried about the fact that they can't speak, like you need to back up. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, and that's one of the things that's interesting about this movie and about Arnold's career, and really kind of about a lot of guys, because it's mostly actors that this happens to, who got a career sort of based around their physicality. There's this. I mean, I'm sure there's other the times this hasn't worked are the people that we've never heard of, which is why I can't think of any bad examples of it. But it's like you got like Arnold, you got Stallone, Van Damme, Statham, like more modern. Like
and they're all
guys who are charismatic as
they're all
crap.
also they're all incoherent.
They're kind of
Statham talking. I'm like, I don't know what that is coming out of your mouth.
What fucking noise is that you're making?
Yeah,
but yeah, no, they're all a little bit mush mouthed. It's interesting that if in this movie, like the idea was like, well, let's give Arnold a role that emphasizes his physicality so he doesn't have to act much. He doesn't really have to speak. And it's like it's not really going to depend on his personality as an actor, as a character, which is like a huge mistake because this is what he's really good at.
That's what's funny is in Stay Hungry, what makes him charismatic is like he's mostly just talking.
He never beats anybody up in Stay Hungry.
Yeah. This feels like a Hercules in New York like 2.0 where they're like, okay, let's just do that again but have a better budget and avoid him talking even more, because that's what it is they're like, and then he did this and now he feels this and he's going here, and it's like, Jesus, just give me just do the scenes, like have the scenes happen instead of someone explaining to me how badass he is.
And that's an artifact of old epic filmmaking, but also they're going like way hard into it on this movie because they don't want Arnold to speak.
Yeah, it feels like a book on tape.
Yeah,
like it's just like I'm ready to fall asleep listening to it. Yeah, the plot is we should probably use
Conan.
This plot. It's Conan.
It's Conan.
He's a kid. A guy named Doom shows up and kills his village, kills his family. He's played by James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones in a glorious 80s hair metal wig. I mean, it's not really 80s hair metal because it's not permed, but he has just the greatest, most luxurious wig in this film.
Yeah. So they kill everybody but him, and so they take him and they put him on the Swole Revenge wheel. Mm-hmm. Where like this seems like a bad plan. Is you kill someone's entire village except for one kid, and then you just make them swole.
Well, they sell him as a slave. and it's kind of up to the people they sell him to do whatever they want with him. So they put him on the swole wheel for about 20 years, and then they make him a gladiator because they're like, wow, that guy's big as shit. Let's see what he can do.
Was there an actual reason the swole wheel existed? Because was it like how they got power or something?
Well, it's a windmill basically. They used to do that with like beasts of burden, like donkeys and stuff would pull those wheels. But if you really want to be an asshole, you make a person do that.
Right. It just didn't seem like it was attached to anything in the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, where is that? What is the point of this wheel? This specific wheel is just like kind of going in this rocky ground.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if he's like grinding up grain and shit, it's going to be in the center of the wheel, so there wouldn't really be. It would just look like a big wheel.
Yeah. No, this is like a nitpick. It's just like I could have used a shot of them like pouring grain in, like just a shot to be like, this is what he's doing.
Yeah,
but they don't really explain it, so it's just a wheel.
I think.
And if you're not.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's just, if you're not fully aware of what that wheel is for, it's just like, oh, I guess they're pushing a wheel for a while.
And then might be that might be like the time. Like back in 1982, maybe more people understood what that was.
Yeah.
I think I only know what it was because I watched a lot of European cartoons.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the concept of that. Like I've seen it in cartoons and movies where it's like they must push the wheel to accomplish a thing.
Yeah,
they usually just show what they're accomplishing, and that's even better for narrative if it shows that he's pushing this wheel to like just make some grain, like something that's like not that important. I don't know. It would add flavor to it.
I think the intent of the scene was different. It wasn't necessarily to show what little he was accomplishing. It was to show the passage of time and how much bigger, like how swole the physical labor was making him.
Right. He just gets swole up, and like no one else is pushing that wheel when he's an adult.
Now, why would you? You would look at that dude and be like, I bet that dude can push this wheel by himself. We can probably get 2 or 3 more wheels out of these other people we have.
Right. And then they like train him to fight, and
again, they don't train him to fight. They throw him into the gladiator pit with Baraka.
Oh yeah,
and then they're just like, "Fucking, let's see what happens." Like he has no idea how to fight in that first fight with Baraka.
Right,
it's real desperate and sloppy.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that if I killed an entire village and left a single child behind, if I sold that child, I'd be like, "You're not going to make him like really swole, are you?" Like, I would ask, I guess. Or, you know what? Just kill the child, too. It's just sloppy. It's sloppy village murdering.
It's sloppy if you realize you're in a movie. Like, if you don't know you're in a movie, people did this shit literally all the time.
Oh, yeah, and I can see, like, killing a village, and then you're like, oh, we should stop and get a meal, but we don't have any money. Let's just save one of the kids.
Yeah, we can make a couple of bucks off these kids.
Yeah, sell them to slavery.
Yeah.
But it's literally just the one kid, it seems like.
Oh, yeah, they smoke everybody else.
Yeah. That's why I was like, it costs you nothing to kill this additional child. But whatever. It's true is that they don't know. They don't know he's going to get swole and be taught to read and have, like, weird, uncomfortable sex with women who don't seem into it.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of that.
While everybody watches. Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. So yeah, he grows up. He escapes. He goes on like a weird adventure where he meets some thieves. He quietly decapitates an anaconda.
He sure does. It's very funny.
I really love how discreetly he fights a giant snake. Yep. Like they don't notice. The cultists don't notice. What else happens?
They go get super drunk after killing that snake, I guess.
Right.
And then they get hired by Max von Sydow to go save his silly ass daughter from Thulsa Doom.
Right. And then they like pretend to be he tries. Oh no, his group is like, I'm not doing that, and Conan is the only one who wants to do it.
Yeah.
He pretends to be a priest. He gets caught. He gets nailed to the tree of woe.
He sure does.
Yeah. Which, I feel like should have been a healthier tree if it's getting all that blood. But whatever. And he gets crucified. It's
got to look gnarly.
It's got to look gnarly. He gets saved by his thief friends who have to fight off demons for his soul. And then he infiltrates Doom's orgy while painted like one of the members of Kiss.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. They put on their like infiltration paint, their infiltration body paint. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
This orgy scene, my God.
We'll get to the orgy scene. That was something. That was really something. Basically fighting the bad guys, and then he fucking wins. James Earl Jones gets away at first, and he tracks him down, decapitates him, and all the cultists, my favorite part, just kind of leave.
Yeah?
Like, where do you think they go into Denny's? Do you think they hung out afterwards? Were they, like, driving home, and they're like, well, that got awkward. Like, because they just, like, put out their torches and bounce. Which I thought was pretty funny.
I hope they regroup, at a Waffle House or something later.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. I mean, I guess we were kind of getting carried away with this Doom guy, but
right.
Wow. Like he really just walks up there and just chops his head off.
Yeah, and then all the cultists instantly are like, oh. I guess the implication, I read this in the Wikipedia, and I did not get it from the movie, is that he's hypnotizing people. I think at one point, does he have snake eyes at one point?
Conan? No,
not Conan.
Doom does, yeah.
Yeah, I think the implication is he's magic, and so the cultist, when he cuts off his head...
He's 100% magic. It's not implied. It's pretty overt.
No, but what I mean is his control over their minds.
Oh,
like,
well,
the idea is that when he cuts off his head, the cultists snap out of it.
It breaks. Okay. No, I never thought of that. I thought you were telling me Conan hypnotized them all when he held up Doom's head, and I was like, I didn't read that at all.
No. I see, like, in the Wikipedia, they describe, like, the ending as Doom trying to mesmerize Conan. And then he decapitates him, and and the cultists disperse. So, like, the implication to me is, he has some sort of mental hold on them. But it's not. I might be doing the movie's work for it. I'm not even describing a plot hole at the end. It's just funny that the cultists are all like, oh, and like leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the implication, is that like
he does. I mean, I always took it as, because he is explicitly magic, but also like he's a cult leader, and like the Max von Sydow's daughter is like desperately pleading with them to let her go back to him. Like he's got like a legit psychological hold on people that I didn't necessarily interpret as being 100% magical.
Right. So it just makes more sense.
Yeah, I took that ending to be like them stunned by his death. I guess they do kind of wander away. But
yeah.
It is an extremely funny final confrontation. Because I mean,
really
obviously
is.
you never expected it was going to be like a huge physical battle between these two. But at the very least, like they set up the whole idea of like the barbarians' biggest foe being a wizard, because it's like, well, he's not it's like Lex Luthor. He's like, well, he's not a physical match for you, but he can fuck with you with his magic.
Right.
So I was at least expecting something like that. But he truly just walks up there and hacks his goddamn head off. It's not a quick decapitation.
No, I was about to say, what makes it funny is that it takes a couple tries.
Yeah, it takes a couple of blows. Yeah, he's hacking away at it.
Yeah, and he like takes a break between blows, so James Earl Jones is standing there like, and then he finally gets his head off.
Right, because it's like it's Conan's father's sword that has been broken and like dulled. Right. So it's like extra
it's a real piece. Yeah, it's a real piece of shit sword.
Yeah, he's like cutting his head off with a thick piece of glass, basically.
Yeah. Also, Crom is their god.
Yes.
Sure. I mean, why not?
I mean, they say it several times. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's a fun word, Crom.
Yeah, Crom. Nah, it's pretty dope.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much the plot. I don't know where to talk about the snake arrows.
I don't know.
In
man.
our
wherever it
What?
fits, wherever you can thread the needle with a snake arrow, let's go ahead and do it.
Okay. It's just that's the funniest part because at one point James Earl Jones takes out a stiff snake and fires it from a bow, which I imagine the snake goes wee when he fires it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a comedy beat. It's like something out of like The Naked Gun.
It is extremely silly.
Yeah. It's like a scene in Hot Shots where he like takes a snake out of the jungle, and he fires the stiff snake, and then they just cut to the character going and like falling over because they've been bit by the snake that he fucking fired at him. Projectile snake. That's amazing.
Oh,
why isn't that in more movies?
I thought she was pierced by the snake.
Maybe
it's a literal, because that's what happens. Not only does he shoot a ramrod stiff snake at somebody as like an arrow, but it's his move. Like they said it.
Yes,
he does it
a few
again.
times.
And like his Conan's other thief buddy has to leap in front of it and block it with a shield, and it's like an arrow in that shot.
Yeah, all right.
The idea that's what I always assumed it was, but the idea that you've introduced that he's just shooting a snake at people so that it can bite them, I prefer that.
Me too, because here's the thing is if it's just because you're right, when he blocks it with his shield later, the snake like a cartoon is just like sticking out of the shield, still stiff, presumably dead, that snake. But like then why not just use arrows, I guess?
Because you're using dope snake magic, man.
Yeah, because he seemed to care about the life of that anaconda later. So I was like, well, he's not mean to snakes. He's just firing at them at his enemies so that the snakes can like land on them and bite them and have a good time.
Maybe. I don't
But
know.
yeah, if the idea that the snake is supposed to just pierce your flesh, that's really funny. They're both funny.
They're both funny for entirely different reasons, and that's what's delightful about it.
Oh, yeah. They don't show what happens to that woman when she gets hit. So I just assumed the snake kind of coiled into her and bit her. And it might as well. He could have put the snake like in a catapult and gotten the same effect, but he likes them to get stiff. I don't know. Yeah, should we go into our next section?
Yeah.
This is technically not Arnold. This is us talking about Arnold as an actor.
Yes.
His first lines in this movie are a series of gargled screams, which was very on point.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a bunch of him going like "Ah!" while he's fighting Baraka.
Yeah. This is, as we mentioned, it's back to Hercules in New York, Arnold. He's kind of an asshole. He's a little crueler, a little more fuck hungry.
Mm-hmm.
A little like chaotic neutral, I would say.
Yeah, he's like a kid in a toy store in this movie.
Yeah, which is very Hercules, because Hercules was kind of an asshole too.
Right, yeah, it's somebody who's totally ruled by impulse for most of the movie.
Yeah, that really did seem like it's very interesting, because we're looking at, we've hit 3 movies so far, and I don't know what's next. We're nearing Terminator, right?
Terminator is 2 years after this. I think it's his immediate follow-up.
Yeah. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think he did a sequel to this first. Let me look.
Well, the sequel came out the same year?
Yes, you were right. All right, so he did Conan the Barbarian. Then he did something called Girl School, Don't Call It Love.
Oh,
which I'm going to go ahead and click on that.
Yeah, we're going to do that one.
Yeah, it's only a short. It's a music video. Okay, he was in a music video as a bodybuilder. Then he did, in 1984, he did Conan the Destroyer and the Terminator. So they were the same year. And really, looking at this, although is he good in Red Sonja?
I mean, I don't really remember that movie.
It really feels like he doesn't become like hero until 1985 with Commando. And even that, and then it was like Predator, the Running Man. These are all like kind of anti-heroes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was weirdly enough, he's kind of a Jason Statham type, where he's like, I'm like scary tough guy, because this movie into the Terminator, like the Terminator, he's a straight up villain.
Yeah.
This movie, he's the quote unquote hero, but he's like a hero in like the Game of Thrones sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really, we only until we get 1988's Twins do they play off the fact that he's actually can be charismatic.
Yeah, that's true.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. Yeah.
That's weird.
It is weird that it comes so late. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Predator, I think he's a good guy, but he's still like, he's kind of rough around the edges, you know?
He's still like pretty much mostly the good guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's still
like he doesn't want to do any CIA bullshit. That's why Dylan has to lie to him.
Right. And then the Running Man, he's still like, he's a good guy, but again, he's like, I guess I'm talking about the idea of like a sweet guy.
Oh yeah,
of like a nice guy.
He doesn't do that again until Twins, I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, like Stay Hungry.
Yeah,
basically Stay Hungry version of him. I don't know. That's interesting. So like this movie,
yeah, it doesn't seem, it doesn't seem right, but it is. But it is.
It's the Statham effect. It's that Statham also looks kind of like a tough guy, and so we give Statham these like kind of rough around the edges roles. Has Statham ever played like a nice guy? I don't know why I'm comparing the two.
I have no
It
idea.
Just seems. Well,
I mean,
just
Crank's
seems
pretty nice.
Yeah, he is. He's a sweetheart.
He's a good-hearted man.
Yeah, but you know what I mean is like they're always like morally will do the right thing, but regarded as like still kind of a scumbag. Like in this movie again, like he's just out for revenge. Like there's a scene where he meets the thief and the thief's like, do you have any food? I don't want to starve to death. And he doesn't like give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which felt very Hercules in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think part of it's not, maybe not. I don't know. I was going to say, I think part of the point of this movie was him becoming a hero, but it's not really.
No, it's like Kratos. It's like a God at War story.
It is. It's very Kratos. He's less angry than Kratos.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. It's Conan the Barbarian. The sequel is Conan the Destroyer.
He's
a movie I have never seen.
It's not great. He's kind of like a Riddick character. He's like a Vin Diesel character.
Yeah, Vin Diesel is another good example because Vin Diesel you kind of see as a sweetheart. Or at least I do, but when we first started using him, it was like, ooh, yeah, he's a bad guy. And it's like, no, he's not. He's Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
But at first it was like, he was Riddick. And then, I don't know. But again, he was also started as the Iron Giant. Mm-hmm. So it's a little of that as well.
And he's in Saving Private Ryan. He gets shot trying to take someone's letter for them.
Oh yeah, I always forget he's in that.
Oh no, wait, he gets shot trying to take a kid, and then he tries to give Adam Goldberg his own letter to his dad as he's bleeding to death. That's what happens.
Right. Yeah, yeah. It was only till Triple X did we realize he's extreme, and that's what really we need him for.
Yeah, he's so extreme. There were 3 X's. Anyway, this movie should be Conan the Barbarian with 3 C's, like Conan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how Conan he is.
But yeah, he punches out a camel in this.
He sure. I don't know how they did that because it really, really looks like he just fucking punches that camel.
Right. I guess you know what? Here's what's. I mean, I'm sure they. I don't know. They probably had a stunt camel.
Yeah,
they probably shot it. The angle you don't see his fist connect with the camel. It's still in an angle where
that's true.
He could be swinging at air, and the camel could be reacting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? It's the 80s. I feel like there were still people who were concerned. Well, like, you didn't punch out that camel for real, but like, who can say?
I would be it's like because it is like an older movie and it is kind of like a grimy ass movie. It doesn't feel like they necessarily had everyone's. This is not a movie that feels like it has everyone's best interests at heart. So
no.
I would not be, in terms of like whether or not he actually punches a camel. It wouldn't surprise me the fact that they allowed it to happen. What would surprise me is he's really punching a camel, because I would think that the camel would like flip the fuck out. And now all of a sudden you got a mad ass, like, I don't know, 500-pound animal.
You're right. That's why you don't have someone punch a camel on set.
That's why you don't do that.
Well, there's a few reasons.
I mean,
but
there's many
reason.
reasons. Injury, cruelty, abuse, and then also that camel might fucking lose its shit.
Yeah. Yeah. What you're describing is the fear that you don't punch the camel hard enough. Where it's like, you should have punched me out, motherfucker. Now I'm everybody's problem.
Yeah. You should have hit me like Mongo, asshole.
Yeah. Shit. What was I getting at? Is that? I
don't know.
This is the weird thing. Well, it's not weird, but it just hadn't occurred to me. Is in Hercules in New York and this, he's also not a good actor.
He doesn't. Well, he doesn't get a chance to do much in this.
Well, that's what I am getting at, is that like he has to play like a mean guy, and he mostly is quiet, and the lines he does have, he doesn't do a great job with. Like they mostly talk for him, but when he does talk, it's like he has to do the same like tone, that like kind of shitty guy tone. Where when you look at Stay Hungry, he's essentially just playing a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he's killing it.
Yeah.
And that says something about him, right? Is that basically they realized, like, we keep trying to make you, like, act the way you look, like imposing and scary.
Yeah.
But when in real life, when he opens his mouth, I suspect he was just like a big dope. In a good way. And so, like, that's why when we get to the Terminator, they're like, you know what? Best to just not say much at all. Like, let's just keep him completely silent, except for a couple of lines.
Yeah, but it's a lot.
That really worked.
It does. It's we'll talk about it when we cover Terminator, but I think his physical performance in that movie is underrated. Anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right. Oh no, he's a great physical performer. It all to me points to the fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger just can't really be a villain unless he's quiet.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
even because when else is he a villain? Batman and Robin?
Yeah. And he's not even really then. He's like an extremely tragic and sympathetic villain. So it's like, well, you're the bad guy because you're doing crimes, but like we all agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think it works. So like in his later films, I don't know. There's a levity to him.
Right, they start injecting.
That you sort of need.
Yeah, like Commando is slapstick. Like he gives the goofy ass one-liners. Like they weren't unaware that those one-liners are stupid as hell.
Right.
They just did it because it's funny, and that's like, I don't know. You can, as you go through the 80s, you can see the progression as they slowly begin to realize, oh, Arnold has more ability as a performer than just being huge.
Yeah, give him some like funny shit to do.
Yeah.
Like I would say in terms of Arnold Schwarzenegger as an action star, and I know we'll obviously cover this, I would say his peak, where he was perfect, is True Lies.
True Lies and Last Action Hero, yep.
Yeah, that is his
Those were released
peak.
within a year of each other, too. So,
oh, yeah. And then it goes downhill very fast.
Yeah, Eraser, it's funny, I'm actually writing something about it. But like Eraser was kind of like the beginning of the end. It was the last 80s style action movie to like make money, but it made like way less than they were expecting. And then after that, I think he does like The Sixth Day and End of Days in a row, and it's like, oof.
Yikes. Sixth Day is a big, or End of Day is a big problem because he's also supposed to be like gruff anti-hero, and it's like, nah.
His name's Jericho Kane.
Yeah, he is. He fights the devil in that.
He does.
Yeah, we should probably move on to the next section, but I guess what I was circling is like, Yeah, he's not fully formed in this movie.
No.
And what's interesting is I feel like fully formed Arnold is very uncharismatic. I don't like him in this movie.
Well, he's
like
not.
I don't like the character. I don't like his.
It doesn't feel like Arnold.
No, it doesn't.
It's like because he barely gets to speak, and we're just hearing like Mako talk about him. So
Right.
it's just like all we're doing is watching like a highlight reel of this guy slashing people, and this dude just droning on and on to explain what this character's internal thought process is. It's like that's anti-charisma, regardless of who's playing the character.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a black hole of charisma.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
It's like he might as well be a dustbuster for all the effort you're making to make me care about him.
Right.
Like,
yeah. No, absolutely. And then you have James Earl Jones over there with his fuck me eyes that he keeps flashing, which I think is supposed to be his mesmerism.
yes.
And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, yeah, he's not cool either, but like he's got a long.
He's supposed to suck.
Yeah, he's got a long way for a guy named Doom. You know?
He's made it work for him.
He's made it work. That's like when Obama won, and it was like, wow, your name literally rhymes with the person that we all hate the most. I think Jon Stewart had a bit about that. It's like someone running after World War II named like Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Doom, he made it work.
He did, yeah. And all he had to do was use dark magic to mind control legions of followers.
Exactly, just like Obama.
Just like Obama.
All right, let's get into Definitely Not Arnold.
What are we fucking...
What?
Are we on like the Daily Caller now?
Yeah. Look, Tom.
I know.
We have new ownership, all right? We have to fall in line.
Listen, if you want to give me $6 million to say Obama sucks, then sure. Show me the check.
Yeah. I'll be winking the whole time. But
I will do it in that
rich.
voice.
Yeah. All right, Definitely Not Arnold. We're talking about best side characters. Shout out to Viking Carrot Top at the beginning.
Which Viking Carrot Top? There are a few. Do you mean...
That is a good point.
Do you... Because this movie is filled with so many heroes
Yeah.
that aren't the main character. One of this movie's strengths, I think, is it has a pretty deep bench of extremely colorful side characters.
Right.
One of the first dudes we meet when they're like rampaging through his village is this dude with like bright orange. He looks like Arcade, like the Marvel villain. He's got like bright orange Woody Harrelson's wig in the Venom sequel.
I was about to say Woody Harrelson.
He jumps up on the rock and like makes blazing eye contact with our little boy hero. Like that's like the first champion that we're introduced to.
Right. Then like Doom's buddies, they look like roadies for Creedence.
One of them straight up is just wearing a leather jacket.
Yeah. And they just have roadie face.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just look like it's like one of those faces where it's like, oh, you only belong in the 80s. I'm sorry, sir.
Did you the not leather jacket guy,
right.
the guy with the hammer, that's LaFours from Mallrats.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
It is. You're right, that is LaFours.
And he shows up in the sequel too, as a different character, obviously.
Oh, perfect.
He gets a big old spike through his chest.
Right. Oh, fucking LaFours.
Yeah, LaFours. Both of those guys, heroes.
Absolute heroes.
Fucking Baraka that he has to fight in the arena. Hero.
Hero. Yeah.
His two sidekicks, like his the woman who is in Hell Comes to Frogtown.
There we go. That's where I knew her from too.
Yeah, she fucks people up and makes a deal with ghosts to bring Conan back to life. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and then she becomes a ghost.
And then she becomes
save him
like
at the end.
Sweet ghost.
Yep.
That's one resplendent ghost.
Oh yeah. There's so many heroes. There's that weird priest that Arnold mugs.
Yeah.
Who like feels like he wants to have sex with Arnold.
It seemed like he thought fucking was going to happen. Yeah, but then like when they go behind the rock, it becomes unclear again. I'm like, wait, is
right?
Was this
kinda
guy
felt
just
bad for
really
him.
delighted to minister the good word of Thulsa Doom to Arnold?
I don't know.
Because
and
like
then, of
10
course, we
seconds
mentioned-
before, 10 seconds ago, it really seemed like he was like really excited to just like crush ass.
Yeah, crush Arnold ass.
Yeah, crush some
But,
ass.
yeah,
And then it's
I
like
feel
get
like
behind
he-
the rock. He's like, let me tell you about the good word. It's like, what?
Yeah. I feel like he had a really bad day because he got mugged for his clothing. He's going to be naked and rejected. And we mentioned the camel. I just want to point out that camel is definitely never the same again after that.
No.
That's a discount camel after that. They're not going to be selling him for
I mean,
like a good amount of money.
I mean, definitely like in Camel, but like the first
Yeah.
time anyone gets punched in the head, it's a life-changing moment.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, oh shit.
It really wakes you up.
That's what
Yeah.
that is. Okay.
Yep. There's the villagers who stand outside Arnold's cage to watch him fuck scared women.
That's gentle term, villagers.
Yeah.
Those are the
Oh.
slavers.
Oh, my bad. That actually makes more sense.
Yeah.
There's also just shout out to all the women who look very uncomfortable throughout the movie.
It can't. I mean, it's made by John Milius, who I think is kind of like what was a bit of a notorious bastard.
Yeah, that checks out just from. There's just so many women in like small cloth outfits, looking unsure, getting sacrificed. or participating in orgies.
Let me clarify what I mean by that. I'm not saying John Milius is like criminally like a sex pest or something. It's just he's been married 3 times. He's got like he just seems like the type of dude that doesn't really get along with women.
Yeah.
Just like looking at his list of credits and just, interviews and things that I've seen with Milius. He's just an extremely gruff man's man.
Right. No, that checks out. I want to shout out to the woman who's going to be sacrificed to the snake, who then screams upon seeing the snake was
She is
murdered.
very upset that she is no longer going to be fed to this giant snake.
Yeah, very committed to being sacrificed.
She has a breakdown.
Yeah,
it's like she found her kid floating face down in the tub.
Yeah. And then they mention later that the snake priest raised the snake from a baby.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
Like he's the guy who
Rancor
raised
guy,
the
yeah.
Rancor. Yeah.
Just like tearfully being comforted by the
Right.
other fucking guards in Jabba's palace.
And we barely see that guy, but yeah, my God, what a racket he's got going. Just throwing willing people to snakes who are like genuinely bummed they don't get to be eaten by the snake because Arnold quietly decapitated it.
I will say,
Like,
like
the scene-
if I was getting thrown into a pit to be eaten by a T-Rex, and then I landed in the pit and the T-Rex was there dead, he'd been slain, I would be extremely upset.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah. I wanted to
it's
be
just-
killed by the huge reptile god.
Right. It's just that scene. God, this
It's madness.
Like
It's madness.
they do. It's basically like they're sneaking in. They're trying to be quiet, and they keep like cutting to the ceremony, and then the snake attacks Conan, and I thought like, oh, there goes the being quiet. But then they like keep hush hush fighting the snake.
Well, he stabs its mouth closed,
You're right.
but it is still
Yeah, that's
extremely
fair.
funny.
Yeah, that they're like silently fighting a giant snake, which should be like it is like a big set piece, giant snake fight, but it's also quiet.
Yeah.
Quiet snake
Quiet
fight.
snake fight.
Yeah. Shout out to the witch lady who doesn't seem to matter in the plot, but she absolutely fucks Conan and then he throws her into fire.
Yeah, she tells him where to go to fulfill his destiny, and then
Right.
gets thrown into a fire, and then I disagreed with you, but like watching it again, it was like she does turn into fire and disappear into the night.
Yeah, it's like a Sam Raimi moment.
Yeah.
Where she's like, and like flying off as fire. He fucks her so hard she turns into fire.
She turns into a
first
demon.
framed it. Yeah.
And then the kick monkey flips her through a fireplace, and then the demon she transforms from demon into like a fire and then zooms away toward where he's supposed to go.
And I'd love to know more about her.
It's like a fuck demon version of that little pixie in Zelda that tells you what to do.
He shows up and she's like immediately horny. And it's Schwarzenegger, I get it. And she's clearly trying to fuck. She mentions snakes and he's like, "Did you mention snakes?" And like starts getting kind of focused on that. And she has to be like, "Come on, focus, man, focus. We're going to fuck." And then they fuck. And then, she just like...
And then she turns into a werewolf mid-fuck.
Yeah. And Conan learns nothing from the experience. I don't even know if there's anything to learn from it. Like, I don't know what behavior he needs to change. But, like, it feels like a rock bottom moment. Like,
well, he should maybe stop nailing random people because he has no idea whether or not they're demons.
Right, and this is a world where that is a problem.
This is a world where that's a distinct possibility.
Yeah. My final side characters I want to talk about is just that orgy tiger and the orgy interns with all the orgy goo, which I'm still not sure what the goo is for. And James Earl Jones is just...
It's like a soup.
Is it just... Do you think that's just lunch?
I assume they were... I mean, because it's full of, like, hands and heads and shit. I'm sure it's like the ceremonial snake head stew.
Okay.
For you to, like,
James Earl Jones is
and
just
become
watching
one
it
with
all.
the snake. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what his schedule is.
Also, it's only an implied orgy. We're actually just seeing the tail end.
Mm-hmm.
Or the beginning, but it feels like the end of an orgy.
Yeah, it feels like the end, but also this dude in a gimp mask is just readily stirring up this pot of hands and head stew.
Maybe it's a break in between. Because I don't think orgies start with everybody laying about moaning.
No, but they...
Because that's what they're all doing.
Yeah, it seems like everybody just got hit by a school bus of sex. Like, they're all just, like, wiped out. But
yes,
you also don't end the evening by having your 300-pound chef cook up body part stew.
Right, which is why it's probably in between.
It's in the middle, you're right, because it can't be the beginning and it can't be the end, using context clues.
Yeah, the end, I feel like everybody would be hitting the showers.
Yeah. Drinking some Gatorade.
Yeah.
You gotta replenish.
Exactly. But they're essentially replenishing with the orgy goo, with the orgy soup. But yeah, there's a lot going on there that I want to know more about. It really was some fucking wild, wild country shit going on.
Yeah.
Like they were, it just felt like, I don't know. What time of day was it, you suppose?
Night. We see outside. Well, it's like it's like evening, because that's when they escape from that is when she gets shot, I believe.
Right. Because, like, what if it was, like, 10 in the morning? That'd be amazing.
So clocks don't matter when you're with Dulce Doom. It's like Vegas.
Yeah, they don't seem to be having the worst time.
No. I mean, they're prisoners, but yeah, technically.
Oh, yeah.
Of his power.
Right. Those are all the best side characters I could think of. Who's the winner, do you think?
Probably Doom's two guys, I think. Those are my favorite characters.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Leather Jacket Man and LaFours with his big hammer.
I think they're definitely the MVPs, but the one that like I really can't stop thinking about is the horny witch lady because she really doesn't have for someone who gives so little exposition, she didn't need to leave that much of an impression. You know what I mean? Like, she could have been just like a book.
Oh, yeah.
Her role could have been a book. Mm-hmm. But instead, they chose to do that. And I guess good for them.
Yeah, it's. I remember seeing this movie for the first time as a kid, and that's like the only scene I remembered for years was that scene, because it is pretty extreme.
It's pretty striking.
And sort of... And when I finally watched it again as an adult, and it's like, yeah, you get into that scene, I was like, man, I remember this scene. It scared me. And then it happens, and you're like, as the movie continues to move further and further away from that scene, you're like, boy, that scene really doesn't matter at all, does it? Like, what the fuck is this in the movie for?
Right.
You're right.
Like, I would have
It
loved.
could have been a scroll he found next to the sword he found. Although there's no indication Conan can read, and in fact, I would be surprised if he could.
No, they say at the beginning they taught him to read.
Oh,
They
okay.
specifically say that.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. That didn't matter either. Him to being learned to read. They just wanted to show that he's.
I don't think
They were just like he's wicked. He's wicked smart. They were trying to show that he's wicked smart.
Yeah, I don't think he ever needs to read anything in the movie.
Yeah, I think they just needed to assure us that Arnold Schwarzenegger can read. You know what would have been great is if, like, later in the film,
If he
they
couldn't
were just
read
like
and he was
walking.
just pissed about it the whole time,
No, I was gonna say
mistrustful of it.
if he's just walking in the woods and you hear like far away like and that flame just whips by and like smacks him and keeps going, like one more quick flame moment, like an hour later, to show that she's still just zipping around, having a great time. But none of that. Should we get into the most Arnold?
Yeah.
What would you say is the most Arnold moment of this entire movie?
This may be controversial.
Okay.
But this is the moment that made me laugh the hardest in terms of just how absurd it all was.
Right.
It's the moment when he's in his little slave cage and his slavers throw him in this woman who's clearly not having a good time.
Yeah.
And he comes up and like is extremely gently leads her away from the gate, covers her up with his fur, and then just immediately walks her over to the bed, takes the fur off, and has sex with her.
Yeah, it felt like there
baffling war of tone in that sequence.
I was about to say, it felt like there was something on set where Arnold was like, no, I don't want to do that. And they're like, you can be nice to her at first. And it's like, okay, sure. And it's like, well, that doesn't make
it's
it
like
better.
He literally gives her a piece of clothing to cover herself with for about 9 seconds.
It's basically, we're describing a scene in the movie where, and this is part of probably why I didn't like him. They're describing Conan, they're showing his background, and then they just like softly float the idea that he's a rapist.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's just like, and they gave him the finest stock of women to mate with. And then they show just this like terrified woman getting romanced in Arnold's cage.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's clear that they didn't want to say it, but like, just don't have the scene.
Yeah, don't.
Like...
I get. I don't know.
They try to show, they throw her in the cage with him, and then he's like, oh, they're there. I'm here for you. But we're still going to fuck.
But we're getting down to business.
Because I'm a barbarian.
Right.
And it's like, this feels, like you said, the most confusing battle of tone.
Yeah.
Where they're like, they didn't want it to, they want us to like him, but they didn't want to cut the scene.
I don't know.
And it's like,
again, Milius is, I don't know.
I think what they're trying to show is that he's like an animal.
I was about to say,
first.
they're showing he's a zoo animal.
Yeah, he doesn't have morality. He doesn't know right from wrong.
No, why would he?
But you can still show that without that.
Yeah, we didn't need to have that. I don't know.
It's a real Zardoz moment.
It's an extremely Zardoz moment.
Yeah. Zardoz, of course, having way more of that.
Yeah. Well, and at least I can say that in this, it does feel a little more purposeful and intentional in this movie because the point of it is to show that, both of them, but, more specifically Conan, because he's our main character, they're zoo animals to these,
right.
to the slave
They
traders.
didn't... Their direction to the woman was look terrified, and she did that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the point of the scene. It's just like, I don't know why we need this scene.
It didn't need it, yeah. Like we already understand he's an animal to them.
Yeah.
Like we have seen them treat him just like he was supposed to die turning that giant wheel, and they're like, well, he got huge. Let's have him kill people. Well, he's pretty good at that. Like we already see that they keep him and gawk at him, so it's like we understand. We understand.
Yeah, I went with what I think is a similar scene, which is of course punching the camel.
That was my second pick too. So yeah, I'm glad you picked that.
I have to explain why these two scenes are similar. Is they're both the most Arnold of this time, meaning like he's like almost charismatic but not. You know what I mean? Where it's like punching a camel is like, that's not cool, man. But he does it in like, I was scared kind of innocent way.
He's startled. He's never seen a camel before in his life. Was what the context of the scene is. He turns and sees a camel and just like reflexively punches it like somebody startled you. And that's extremely funny.
That's extremely funny. Yeah, it's like he saw a spider.
Yeah,
it's just like, no, it's a big fluffy animal.
I mean,
man.
well, I don't know. If you didn't really know what that was, and you're seeing that animal for the first time, you might be shit, it's a fucking alien.
Yeah, I was gonna say, corner of the eye, I'd see that like it's a big lump of fur, and it's like that could be a lot of things, and a lot of those things could hurt me. So I get it. Well, let's rate the movie, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna rate it through our classic rating system.
Mm-hmm.
This is how many out of 15 erections do we give this movie?
Yeah,
erections being the best, or 15 being the best, 0 erections being the worst. And by best and worst, I don't mean the film necessarily.
I think,
it's our classic rating system.
Yeah, it's you guys are familiar with it. It's our 15 erection scale. I would give this I don't know. Like 1, but like 1 really big turgid erection.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Oh my god, because I was going to say it's not it's not 15 erections.
No.
But like it's like 1 or 2 like really
it's one
like painful erections.
Yeah, it's like 1 sustained angry erection.
Yeah. Like the kind where you feel like if you pricked it with a needle it would pop like a balloon.
Yes.
Like it's like
just
like
a fire hose.
Yeah. Like a really like swollen, like again painful, like the kind of erection you'd go to the doctor for.
Mm-hmm. It would be alarming. Like this film. We give this film 1 gigantic, alarmingly turgid erection.
Yeah, I feel good about that.
I think so. 1. Yeah, I think that accurately sums up Conan the Barbarian.
Sweet. All right. Well, fuck, we did it, Tom.
We sure did.
I'd like to thank Norm from Cheers. You're great. Thank you so much for this task. I'm so excited to keep doing these. We're gonna do at least 10 of these episodes, Tom. So we got a whole lot of Schwarzenegger to watch, and let me tell you, it's not hard. It's not hard, unlike the big erection, to watch Schwarzenegger films and talk about them. They're great.
Yeah, they're generally pretty easy.
Yeah, like this is probably the least fun movie for me.
Yeah,
and it's still not terrible. It still has punching a camel and orgies.
And very slowly hacking a villainous sorcerer's head off.
Yeah. So this is through our Patreon, and if you're interested, you can go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We have exclusive podcasts on there, like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. We also have Star Trek The Next Futurama, our monthly exclusive podcast. We watch movies with our patrons every Friday night. We have a bunch of tiers on there that you can check out today if you want to.
Right.
And you do.
Now you can. It's there.
Yeah.
It's just waiting for you.
Yeah.
What else is waiting for you is we have a store, tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed, where you can get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out.
Check it out.
I don't know, man. I don't know what your life is. I don't know how many protracted orgies you have scheduled that will involve a gigantic body part soup.
Ooh. If you have an orgy, bring one of our products.
Yes.
I want to be more visible at orgies. I want our brand to be seen at orgies.
That's where we need to have our branding, I think.
Yeah.
Is on more
I want
orgies.
us to be I want us to be like the Vans of orgies. You know, like when you go to the Warped Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want people to go to orgies and be like, God, I'm sick of hearing about Gamefully Unemployed.
Yeah, yeah. Did you guys hit the Gamefully Unemployed orgy last night? I'd be like, yeah, man.
Yeah. God, yeah, we should start funding them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk off mic about.
Yeah. We'll iron out the
endeavors.
details, and we'll be back next time to let you guys know how you can franchise your own Gamefully Unemployed orgy.
Yeah. All right. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Take it easy, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Australia